Well, National Assembly Speaker Baleka Mbethe raised eyebrows yesterday when she announced that she would expunge Economic Freedom Fighters leader Julius Malema's speech from Hansard. Pressed to state the rules she relied on to take such a decision, Mbethe said she would reveal that later. In an interview I had with her this morning, I asked how she arrived at that decision.
What happened there, Vuyo, is that we had a leader of a party, an honorable member of parliament, who in fact, while he was speaking, making reference to something else, indicated that no matter who said, no matter what rule, no matter what court rules, he would not abide by certain things. Now, this is something that he was not saying for the first time, that they don't respect rules, they don't care about the protocols, they don't care about conventions, and everything was said and done knowingly to actually just undermine any decorum, let alone in a debate of the sort of debate that we are having yesterday and today. Now, when I said what I said was to assert the fact that we cannot be helpless in a situation where people are not only disrespecting other honorable members, but they are disrespecting all of South Africa. And so I said what I said. As for the ruling and how the issue is going forward, I think we should wait for this afternoon sitting where the ruling will come to the House. At least let's respect that so that I don't give a ruling on air.
And I'm leaving. I can't sit here to debate what you presented here because you are not a legitimate president. Bye-bye.
Honorable Malema, as you leave, I want you to know that, as you know, what you did was wrong. You should have done it in the form of a substantive motion. You did it knowingly, and it was wrong, and shall be expunged from the Hansard.
But then you did take a decision yesterday. You did make a pronouncement that said that you were going to expunge his speech. The question that then subsequently arose was, what rule were you then using to arrive at that decision?
I am saying I am going to be speaking exactly to the issues you are raising in the ruling this afternoon. And let's wait for that view.
Well, a couple of hours after that interview, Parliament was indeed back in session for the second day of the debate of President Jacob Zuma's State of the Nation address. And among the first things the Speaker sought to address was, as promised, her announcement that she would expunge Malema's speech.
During the debate, the remarks that are completely unparliamentary were made. Names of certain premiers were mentioned and aspersions cast on their characters. They were said to be the most corrupt people, and others were accused of participating in the disappearance of opponents. This, as members know, is unparliamentary. Having regard to the seriousness of balancing the privilege of freedom of speech and the protection of the rights and privileges of other members, individually and collectively, I will, in consultation with the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, refer the principle of this issue to the Rules Committee for processing. This morning, I also received a letter from the EFF in which they request that the Speaker withdraws, quote, the communication to expunge the speech and address of Honorable Malema from Hansard. Honorable members, this statement also addresses that issue.
Well, what is, of course, still unclear is whether what the speaker exactly found objectionable, whether it was the entire speech or parts of the speech, the parts that she referred to, but we will certainly know about that as the story develops. In our interview earlier, here's what I had also asked the speaker. Isn't that, Madam Speaker, what a lot of people, your detractors, say is actually the problem, that you take decisions and then take time to get to explain them, if you explain them at all? Perceptions.
I think we are not going to be intimidated by detractors. The fact that people say what they say about events that unfold in front of them because it suits a particular perspective in the political space must not make us flinch from the truth and that which we know is correct.
This part begins with her responding to the allegation that often she is seen dealing differently with members of her own party as opposed to those from the opposition.
Do you remember, Vuyo, that yesterday at the start of the proceedings, a deputy minister rose and raised a point of order, which I pronounced on, and he proceeded, and I ruled him out of order, and he was an ANC member. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember when I do rule against ANC members? Because it's not true that we only rule opposition members out of order. And it's not true that we only agree with issues raised by ANC members. But there is something that gets said again and again until those that say those things really start to believe them. And you wonder where the rest of South Africa are in terms of listening and watching and actually taking a position in terms of the principles contained in what informs the conduct of those few members that in fact don't care about the decorum of Parliament. Do you ever hear when the Honorable Buthelezi objects to the way things are done in Parliament, which is the issue that presiding officers are continuously at pain to point out to members? We tell honorable members ahead of time, and they tell the whole country, no, we will still disrupt. And when the event actually unfolds, no, people don't see that. They see only a presiding officer being wrong. I think it's political. It's a choice people make, that they will always stand on the side of those that are disruptive, and they will always see wrong with anybody occupying the chair.
But what if there are people out there who do not understand, genuinely do not understand how the rules are applied? Do you not feel that you have a responsibility, perhaps beyond that of members like Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, to really be seen to be going out of your way even to make sure that the rules are perfectly understood, and when you make such rulings, it leaves no doubt in anyone's mind that you are applying a particular rule of Parliament, and that is what had to be done? Do you not believe that you have that extra responsibility, if we may call it that?
Yes, we actually believe it so much that ahead of a State of the Nation address, we go all out, starting from last year in 2015, to take members of the media through the rules. We explain the differences between different types of joint sittings or sittings in general in terms of the two houses. We tell the whole world the do's and don'ts. We explain to them the purpose of a joint sitting to receive the State of the Nation address. You know, there are many things we have been telling members of the public on TV, on radio, not only us presiding officers, but members of the procedural staff led by the two secretaries of the two houses, as well as the secretary to parliament. So yes, we try our best, Vuyo, but the public must also be willing to listen, to make it their own responsibility to understand and to come to us and raise questions where they need clarification.
How do you feel when people start saying things like, well, we've had people who we thought were partisan before, like Fenini Jinwala being speakers of parliament. And we do have today people like Togo Didiza who, when they preside over the proceedings, things are a lot more manageable. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel, because I know what we do in preparation together with all those people that you are talking about, there is a politically inspired position taken when someone is in the chair to present a particular perspective. You know, I understand that. It's part and parcel of the political space that one operates in.
Has there ever been times when you felt, let me just leave this job for peace's sake, or see whether that will remove the problem?
I know it will never remove the problem.
But have you ever been in that space?
Way. No, I don't feel I must leave my job. There's no job that's smooth sailing, that's easy. We are in a difficult space, but somebody has to do it. It has fallen on me to do it this time, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability and up to the end.
Well, to just cite an example, when judges prefer or decide to recuse themselves, it's not usually because they feel that they are wrong or not qualified for the task at hand. But if there are lingering perceptions of bias and unfairness, they then feel, in the interest of justice, maybe what I should do is to recuse myself.
No, Vuyo. I don't feel that way.
And if you were to, looking at the events of the past year, if you were to rate your own performance, and how would you say that you've done the best that you could do, and you've been fair to everyone?
I know I have been fair to everyone, and I have a sense of peace when I go to bed at night.